So okay, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to use Visio to draw context diagram and level 0 diagram. So this is the context diagram we are going to draw, and also this is the corresponding level 0 diagram. But due to time limit, I'm not going to demonstrate the whole process. Instead, I just concentrate on the key steps. And more specifically, in the context diagram I'm going to draw, actually I'm going to include only the customer entity. So as you can see here, in this context diagram, we have 3 external entities: customer, engineer, and reviewer. And I'm going to just include customer entity in my demonstration. So next, I need to start Visio. So I just start Visio. And this is the startup screen for Visio. And I'm using Visio 2016. And if you are using Visio 2013, and then the initial screen could be slightly different, but essentially they are the same. So that is, in this startup screen, you are going to see, different categories of diagrams. And for example, we have business, engineering, so on and so forth. So each category includes many different types of diagrams. And here to draw data flow diagram, we need to choose, this is software category. And in this category, as you can see, to draw data flow diagram, actually we have 2 options. We have data flow diagram and also data flow model diagram. And actually you can use either of them. The main difference between them is just about the style, because in data flow diagram, a process is represented as a circle, and in a data flow model diagram, it is represented as a rectangle. So here, essentially, they are the same. It's totally up to you. And this demonstration is simply just based on data flow model diagram. So I just click on this one, and then I choose create. So now, initially here, as you can see, we have on the left-hand side, we have 4 different tools. Process, interface, data store, and data flow. And actually, this interface actually is external agent or external entity. So we have the 4 components for data flow diagram. At the bottom, here we have this top process. So basically, in each file, we can include many different diagrams. So initially, we only have 1 diagram, which is called top process, and we can rename it. So I just right-click on it, and I choose rename. I can rename it to context diagram. And also, I can add 1 more diagram. So I click on this insert button. So I include this one. I just rename this new one as level 0. Okay, so actually I have 2 diagrams. So then I can switch to context diagram. And for demonstration, I simply just rotate this diagram by 90 degrees. So I change the orientation. And after that, I can just add, because actually in this context diagram, I'm going to have 1 process, is the system as a whole, and also 1 external entity, which is called the customer. So I just add a process, and also I add an external entity. So as for this process, I double click on it. I just give it a name. That is, it's called process 0. It's just the system as a whole. Okay. For this external entity, I call it a customer. And after this, I needed to add data flow links to describe the data exchange between these two components. So here, the first one, in this case, actually is from customer to system. So, I just move the tail of this link. I just move over customer. Because I need to connect to this customer entity. I move over customer until I see that the color of the borders is changed to green. And in that case, I just release my mouse. So here it means the tail here is connected, is attached, or is glued to this customer entity. So for example, if I move this customer entity, and the tail is always attached to this customer entity. And for the head, I connect it to system. Okay. And after this, I need to describe what kind of data are transferred through this link. So here, I just double click on it. I say is document requirements. So customers, submit detailed information about their requirements for the documents to the system. The next link actually is from system to customer. So here, information flowing through this link is, in this case, I just double click on it. So it is document for approval. And after receiving this document, the customer would review the document and then would make a decision. So the decision would be either, the customer may request certain changes, or the customer may approve this document. Right? So in this case, the first one is from customer to system. So here, this is called changes requested. And then there's another link from customer to the system. So this is another decision. So which is, I just double click on it. So this is called approval. Notice. So basically, these are the 4 links between customer and the system. So it describes what kind of information this customer entity needs to provide to the system and what kind of information it receives from the system. So basically, this is about how these two components interact with each other. Finally, we needed to actually make certain adjustments so that, because as you can see here, these 3 links are close to each other, too close to each other. As a result, the labels may not be seen very clearly. So to improve readability, I just move this system here. I just move it. And then I may need to make some small adjustment. For example, I can click on this link. I want to raise it. So as you can see, when I click on it, there are several dots along this link. So I can move my cursor over so this dot here. And here, as you can see, the cursor is changed. So then I can move upward. For this line, I can do the same thing. So basically, okay. So this is the context diagram. So okay, so this is the context diagram, and the next I need to draw level 0 diagram. And in level 0 diagram, I still needed to include the external entity. So in this case, the customer entity and all of the 4 links. And I don't want to draw those things from scratch. So here I just make a copy of everything and I paste those things to level 0 diagram to save my time. To make a copy, I simply just left click my mouse and then I draw I just hold the button and then I draw a rectangle to include all of the items. So then I just choose copy. And then I paste everything to level 0 diagram. Okay. So in level 0 diagram, what I need to do is, I need to replace this system as a whole with its sub-processes. So basically, I needed to divide, this system actually into several major components. And for this specific case, actually, I need to divide this system actually into 3 sub-processes. Here is a process 0, and then process 0 is decomposed into process 1, process 2, process 3. So I first just delete this one. So I click on it, I press the delete button, and then I just add 3 processes into level 0 diagram. So the first one is called, double click on it, is called receive requirements. So the next one is called draft document, and then this one is called approve document. So far I have 3 processes, and the next what I need to do is, as you can see, for this customer entity, it has 4 links. So initially in the context diagram, all of the 4 links are connected to the system as a whole. And then in level 0 diagram, I need to provide more detailed information. That is, I need to say exactly what process, which of the 3 processes is connected to each of the 4 links. Okay. So I start from this document requirement, so which is this one. So this document requirement is supposed to be connected to process 1. So document requirement. So customer submits a very detailed description about her document requirements. Okay. And then also here, this change is requested. It's also connected to this process 1. So I can move this a little bit. Okay. And then for the other 2, so they are connected to process 3. So I just connect this, these 2 links to process 3. Okay. So after that, I needed to describe, how information is flowing from one process to the next process. So basically, from process 1 to process 2, there is a data flow. So process 1 is going to transfer customer requirements. To process 2. And in process 2, finally a draft is created. So then this draft would be later on sent to customer for approval. But initially, initially that draft actually is saved to a data store. So here, this data store, I just call it data store 1, which is document, because this one is going to store different documents. So after a draft is finalized, it is going to be stored in this data store, and here the link is called approved draft. Okay. And after this, process 3 would retrieve the document from this document's data store. So here there's a link from data store to process 3. And this one is called document to send.